Shocking truth of Job, faith tested at 3 a.m. Epic animated story you must see now. In the dead of night, when shadows stretch and the world is wrapped in silence, a scream cut through the darkness like a knife. It was 3 a.m., the witching hour, where fear creeps into the corners of the mind. Job, a man of unwavering faith, found himself in the heart of a storm unlike any he'd faced before. Something sinister was lurking in the abyss, something that made the very air feel electric with anticipation. Timid whispers echoed around him, like the rustling of leaves before a thunderstorm. The moon hung low, casting an eerie glow that illuminated the chaos around him. When Job awoke, panic gripped him tightly like a vice. His family, his wealth, all gone in the blink of an eye. The news spread like wildfire through the small town, igniting a frenzy of disbelief and scandal. No one could understand, everyone had opinions. Murmurs of punishment for unknown sins buzzed in the air. As he staggered out of his home, he could feel the eyes of neighbors boring into him. Guilt? Shame? No, it was something deeper. Job's heart thundered in response to the accusatory glances. Could they feel the weight of his loss? The ground felt shaky beneath him, as if the very earth rejected him for reasons unknown. Anxiety twisted in his gut, a tight knot, as he faced the spiraling questions. The townsfolk formed a circle, a mix of pity and judgment on their faces. They knew something wasn't right but felt powerless against the cosmic dance of fate's cruel hand. A child cried, breaking the silence, adding a layer of despair to the tension. It was wrong that he had suffered so much. Voices rose and fell, it's divine punishment. What did he do? Echoed continuously, thickening the air with uncertainty. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. He took a shaky breath, heart pounding in his chest like a drum as he turned his gaze upward, scanning the sky that had once been a sanctuary. But tonight, it felt like the heavens themselves were mocking him. The stars twinkled, indifferent to his plight, and an ominous cloud rolled in, casting a shadow that felt almost sentient. Was his faith truly being tested? Or was there something darker at play? Suddenly, the ground shook. The inner turmoil of the townsfolk erupted into chaos. Gasps and screams erupted as they screamed warnings about ominous shadows lurking in the trees. Could there be more horrors waiting to unfold? As Job stood there, breathing heavily, his grip on faith slipping like sand through his fingers, the mysterious truth of his trial loomed heavy over him. What would happen next? What awaited him in the dark? The chaos that erupted in the town was palpable. Job's heart raced as he struggled to comprehend the fear radiating from the crowd. Shadows danced at the edge of his vision, twisting and flickering like lost souls. A suffocating dread wrapped around him, urging him to flee. But even amidst the turmoil, Job felt an unbearable tug of responsibility. He couldn't abandon his friends and neighbors to face whatever lurked in the darkness. Who is there? A voice shook from the throng, trembling but demanding an answer. The question hung thick in the air, pregnant with fear, an echo of Job's own thoughts. Nearly everyone turned their gaze toward the woods, their faces pale and stricken. Then, as if answering the unspoken question, a figure emerged from the tree lean. It was cloaked, shadowed, its movements graceful yet unnervingly unnatural. Gasps turned to murmurings, escalating into frantic whispers. Was it a harbinger of doom, or something worse? Job's gut twisted as recognition hit him. He remembered stories told in hushed tones, tales of spirits who came to collect debts unpaid, fearsome entities lurking between realms. The figure paused, surveying the gathered townsfolk with an eerie stillness. It seemed to drink in their collective fear, thriving on it like a dark predator feasting on a prey's terror. Job's thoughts spiraled. Was this punishment for his sins or a test of his faith? He stepped forward, heart racing. What do you want? Job's voice cracked, but he gripped it tightly, challenging the specter before him even as unresolved dread knotted in his stomach. Silence draped over the crowd like a cloak. The shadow folded its arms, but its face remained hidden, the air around it thickening. Then came a voice, distorting the words. I seek what belongs to me, it rasped, each syllable dripping with malice. The crowd recoiled, some falling to their knees, murmuring frantic prayers. Job fought against the rising panic within him. You can't take them. He shouted, desperately looking for clarity amidst the chaos. What have I done? A low, chilling laugh emanated from the figure. Your deeds are known to me, Job. All the treasures of your soul, they have a price. The winds howled in response, leaving the townsfolk shivering, feeling the weight of the unspoken fears cascading around them. What do you mean? Job's voice was steadier now, driven by a flicker of resilience. Could this be an opportunity to confront the shadow, to understand why he was being punished when he had done nothing but uphold his faith? Sacrifice, the figure snarled, leaning forward, causing shadows to ripple. You've lost much, but real loss is yet to come. Are you ready to pay the price? Job felt the ground shift beneath him as panic surged once more, the reality of losing even more sending tremors through his body. The townsfolk collectively held their breath, the air thick with anticipation, hope, and dread. Each heartbeat felt like a countdown, leading to a moment that could shatter their fragile reality or forge a new path through the chaos. But what could he sacrifice? With that thought, the darkness writhed at the fringes of Job's vision, whispering warnings. Was there something more lurking there, something that could change everything? As the figure's laughter echoed through the gloom, Job knew he was faced with a choice. Faith or sacrifice, which would set him free, and what horror awaited if he chose wrongly. The storm thickened, fear charging the air, leaving Job wondering if the true test was just beginning. What awaited him in the depths of this looming darkness? The figure loomed, an ominous statue silhouetted against the flickering light of torches from the townsfolk. Job's heartbeat thundered in his ears, drowning out the gasps of the crowd, the desperate murmurs of prayers. He could feel his friend's eyes boring into his back, expectations mingling with fear. They looked to him for guidance, but he felt their dread tugging at him, threatening to pull him under. What would you take? Job blurted out, fear-pierced clarity igniting within him. You want something, don't you? What must I give to save them? The figure tilted its head, the shadows concealing its features swirling like an angry storm. You misunderstand, Job. It's not you who decides the sacrifice. It's the value of what you cherish most. I will take what you love. Job's stomach dropped. Love? He had so much to lose. Memories of laughter, warmth, and companionship ran through his mind: his sister Lucy, his best friend Eli, his budding romance with Clara. Could he risk their lives for the sake of something he held dear? Stop! A voice cried out from the crowd, shattering the suffocating silence. Clara stepped forward, defiance shimmering in her eyes, though her hands trembled. You cannot take them. They haven't done anything wrong. An unsettling smile crept across the figure's face, hidden beneath the shadow. Ah, but it is not her or any of them I desire. It is you, or rather, the darkness within you. The fear you harbor, the guilt that gnaws at your spirit. That is my true treasure. Job's chest tightened. The memories of his failures, of moments when he had faltered or turned away, began to flood back. Each instance felt like a weight, pressing down and summoning guilt he had thought buried. What do you want with that? It isn't a part of me I can give away. The figure stepped closer, the air around it flickering with malice. You pretend to be a beacon of light, yet shadows cling to your every move. Face your darkness, Job. Embrace it. Then I may spare them. The crowd's whispers intensified, uncertainty blooming as they processed his potential surrender. Was Job truly willing to confront the parts of himself he hated most? It felt like standing at the edge of a gaping abyss. He looked at Clara, whose eyes shone with support and confusion, then at Eli, who watched him with concern. What did they know? They believed in him, but now, the weight of expectation felt like a noose tightening around his neck. "Job, you can't." Clara pleaded, her voice cracking. "Don't let it manipulate you." But the figure's voice thrummed like a dark melody. "What will it be, Job? Embrace the sacrifices demanded of you, or let them all perish in your stead." The storm raged overhead, wind whipping through the trees, thunder echoing like the rumble of destiny approaching. Job felt a surge of desperation to protect those he loved, but was it worth diving into a chasm of his own regret? As the shadows whispered around him, intertwining with the thunder's roar, Job faced his demons, hearing the faintest echoes of lost hopes and childhood dreams. He understood this battle was more monumental than he ever anticipated. And then, just as silence settled over the crowd like a heavy blanket, he said, "I will not step into that darkness. I choose to fight for them." The laughter erupted from the figure, rich and taunting, resonating with long-held truths. "Then let the true test begin, Job. Prepare for what awaits." Job felt a sudden chill, a darkness swallowing everything. It rushed forward, each pinprick of icy fear digging deeper. What had he unleashed? He turned, searching for faces of understanding, trepidation swirling through the air. They were all at risk, and the storm was not done yet. What further horrors did he need to confront? What had he just invited by refusing to succumb? The looming darkness closed in, and Job's heart raced wildly as he pondered the true cost of defiance. The air shifted, thick and electric, as Job stood firm. Black clouds churned overhead, reflecting the turmoil within him. He could feel the ground beneath him pulse like a heartbeat, almost as if the earth were alive and sharing in his dread. A low growl, emanating from the figure, sent ripples of anxiety through the crowd. Many stepped back, unnerved by the profound darkness that was now spilling over Job's shoulders like a cloak. His heart hammered, every pulse a reminder of how close the precipice was. Had he just awakened a beast buried deep in his subconscious? "Let the sacrifices begin," the figure crooned, and those words slithered into Job's mind, twisting around his thoughts. He fought to keep his resolve, but the fear of losing his loved ones gripped him tightly. Clara's voice broke through the haze like a beacon. "Job! You can't give in. Look at what it's trying to do to you. To us." He turned to her, desperation flooding his eyes. "But if I don't, it may take you all. I can't let that happen. It won't take us if you stand strong." Clara shot back, her voice trembling yet fierce. Job wanted to believe her, but doubt threatened to unravel that belief. The figure chuckled, a sound that chilled Job's blood. "Oh, the girl has spirit. But spirit alone won't save you. You have witnessed your weaknesses, Job. You are not prepared for the darkness that's coming." With a wave of its hand, the shadows around them twisted and morphed, revealing glowing images of the past. Job saw a younger version of himself, standing on the playground, freezing in fear as kids bullied a boy. Job could have intervened but chose to look away instead. There it was, his darkness exposed like a naked wound. The memory bled out, unhealed. The crowd gasped. Whispers of recognition flickered like flames. "Job? Is that you?" Eli's voice trembled, disbelief clawing at his throat. Job clenched his fists, heat rushing to his face. "That was just a moment. I've changed," he shouted, the words ricocheting off his own shaky resolve. "A moment defines you, Job. Define yourself now." The figure advanced, thrumming with menace, and the crowd began to murmur uneasily. Job knew they were second-guessing him, their faith wavering under the weight of the shadows. But Clara stepped forward again, her eyes blazing with determination. "You have the power to rewrite your past. Don't let it bind you. Job locked eyes with her, and in that moment, a flicker of hope ignited in his chest despite the storm raging outside. Could he be more than his regrets? Could he defy the darkness that sought to claim him? He stood tall, feeling the energy of those around him. No. I won't let these shadows dictate my fate. I will face them. The figure froze, taken aback as a wave of defiance surged through Job, his voice rising above the crashing thunder. Job, the figure hissed, its smile morphing into something sinister. You have awakened the storm. But storms do not just pass, they lay waste before moving on. Suddenly, an ear-splitting thunderclap shattered the night, and the ground trembled. Job braced himself as shadows surged around him like a tidal wave. He felt the cold slipstream wrapping around him, tightening like a vice. Visions flooded his mind, the laughter of Lucy, the unwavering trust of Eli, the tender moments with Clara. If he fell, they'd fall. You will lose them all. The figure screamed, its voice distorted by rage and fear. With a roar that seemed to shake the heavens, Job shouted back, No. I'm not losing anyone today. As he focused on the memories of love, something inside him ignited, a blinding light pushing back against the consuming darkness. But would that light be enough when the figure unleashed everything it held in darkness? The shadows writhed, and Job, now standing at the threshold, had to wonder, what would it truly take to confront this evil, and would he be prepared to sacrifice more than just memories? The shadows coiled tighter around Job, a suffocating embrace that threatened to extinguish his defiance. He could feel the weight of his doubts cascading down like bricks. The howling wind whipped through the gathering, kicking up debris as the storm intensified, mirroring the dark turmoil gathering within him. Fight it. Clara's voice pierced through the chaos, fighting shoulder to shoulder with Job against the darkness that clung to him. Her eyes shone with fierce determination, a lighthouse guiding him through the tempest. But the figure laughed again, a sound that made Job's skin crawl. Ha! She believes in you, Job. But what happens when hope crumbles? When the storm howls louder than her cries? The figure stepped closer, shadows reaching out like fingers, probing for weakness. Job staggered, the memories swirling around him, moments of cowardice intertwined with moments of bravery, shining like diamonds in a sea of despair. The images collided in his mind, a visceral reminder that every choice mattered. I won't let your lies consume me. Job shouted, though his voice wavered. Suddenly, with a swift motion, the figure raised a hand. The shadows obeyed, and in an instant, they transformed, morphing into chilling versions of those he loved. Clara, Eli, and Lucy appeared as twisted specters, their faces drawn and anguished. They looked at him, pleading, the bond of trust seemingly severed, a crack that spread like fire. Look, the figure taunted. Your choices brought this upon them. Deep down, you know they will suffer because of your weakness. No. Job roared, shaking his head in disbelief. The realization threatened to crush him. If he faltered, if he succumbed to this darkness, he risked dragging everyone he loved down with him. Clara stepped forward, her shadowless form shining through the haze. Job, remember who you are. These are only illusions. Your love is stronger than their fear. With her words, Job felt an ember ignite within. He locked eyes with Clara, the warmth of their connection overpowering the chill creeping in. You're right. I am not defined by my memories. I am defined by my actions now. With renewed vigor, he stretched out his arms, summoning the light he found deep within himself. Golden rays burst forth, splintering the shadows around him. They shrieked, retreating as if burned by the sunlight, but the figure stood unmoved, its piercing eyes locking onto Jabez. You cannot win, boy. You cannot save them all. It bellowed, its voice shaking the very ground beneath them. Job felt a surge of defiance. Watch me. He yelled, his voice breaking through the thunder. The light expanded, pushing against the darkness like a tidal wave. As the shadows recoiled, the anguished images of his loved ones began to fade, replaced by their real faces, full of hope and pride. Yet, as Job pushed forward, the figure raised both hands, summoning the storm's fury, winds howling and rain lashing down like daggers. You think this light can shield you from the truth? It's time to face what you fear most. The ground shook violently, and Job realized the figure had unleashed its full power. Trusting Clara's faith, he summoned every shred of courage he had left, but doubt whispered at the edges. He had come too far to waver now. Towards the eye of the storm, Job pressed on. Yet, just as he thought he'd grasped victory, an unbearable cry split the air, one that sent ice straight through his veins. Job! Eli's voice rang out, laced with terror, but it felt distant, as if swallowed by the darkness. Everything inside Job spun violently. He had to choose: would he surrender to the storm or rise and protect those he loved? As the tempest loomed ever larger, the shadows shifting and swirling with rage, Job had never felt so vulnerable. Would he answer fear's call or rise above it? Standing at the edge, he contemplated his next move, but what horrifying truth lay in wait within the storm's depths? As Job stood there, the storm roared around him, a living creature, wild and uncontrollable. He could feel the ground trembling beneath his feet, merging with the frantic pulse of his heart. Panic clawed at him. His loved ones were in danger, and every moment wasted fed the darkness pressing down. Job! You have to fight it. Clara's voice rang out again, clear and strong, anchoring him in the chaos. He turned to her, and in that fleeting glance, he saw the depth of her belief, a fierce flame glowing against the suffocating shadows, but Eli's cry still echoed in the air. Job! The word was raw, a mixture of fear and desperation. It curled around him, wrapping him in icy tendrils. He couldn't lose them. Not Clara. Not Eli. Not Lucy. The malevolent figure was watching him intently, its twisted grin spreading wider. Just give in. Let them go. They would be better off without a coward like you dragging them down. The words dripped with venom, sinking deeper into Job's resolve. No. He shouted, voice trembling with the force of his conviction. I will not embrace your lies. As he spoke, a flicker of light ignited in his chest. It was small but growing, fueled by the love he held for his family and friends. The shadows recoiled, hissing like snakes, but the figure's laughter sounded ever louder, resonating ominously in the chaos. Do you not see? It taunted. Your light can only flicker for so long before it is extinguished. Each of their faces obscured by your own failures. Can you bear the weight of that knowledge? Job's breath hitched. Images clawed at him, a flash of his mother, eyes filled with disappointment, and the haunting memories of his lost childhood dreams. It was almost enough to make him stumble. But Clara's presence was unyielding, a solid rock in a raging sea. Job, remember our first adventure. You stood up, even when the odds were against you. You can't let doubt steal that strength away. Her encouragement rang in his heart, each word a hammer driving back the walls of despair. Mustering every ounce of courage, he called upon the memories of all they had faced together, the losses, the wins, the trials that had shaped him into the man he was today. With a guttural roar, he surged forward, both feet planted firmly on the trembling ground, enveloped in radiant light. You think you can break me? I am more than my fears. I am stronger than this darkness. The moment he stepped into the storm, light erupted from him in a brilliant wave, cascading against the howling winds. The shadows writhed, snapping and hissing as the light crashed into them like waves against a rocky shore. No! The figure screamed. Just then, from the depths of the storm, a booming voice resonated, chilling Job to the bone. Job! Remember that in darkness, the depth of your choices will either build a bridge to freedom or cast you into chains. Searing pain coursed through Job. He clutched his head, the truth threatening to overwhelm him. He looked back to Clara, whose eyes now shimmered with a mixture of hope and fear. What do I do? He whispered, anguish lacing his tone. Then, as if divined by destiny, a flicker of clarity pierced his chaotic thoughts. I have to face my fears. Confront this truth. Job's mind raced, adrenaline rushing as he remembered the mantra that brought him strength in the darkest moments. But just as he prepared to confront the figure, the world around him erupted into a tempest of shadows and thunderous roars, swallowing every ounce of light he had built. What chilling truth awaited him in the heart of the storm, and would he have the strength to confront it? Job felt himself being pulled into a vortex. The light around him, which had once been a source of hope, flickered, dimming under the weight of the storm's wrath. He gasped, fighting against the sensation of being swallowed whole. The malevolent figure loomed larger in his mind, its mocking laughter resonating like a distant thunderclap. What are you so afraid of? It sneered, voices echoing, distorted. Your entire life has been a string of failures. You're just a coward hiding behind borrowed light. Shut up. Job shouted, his voice cracking, but he stood his ground. He felt Clara's presence deep within him, a warm whisper amid the maelstrom. Job, you are not alone. Clara's image flickered before him, her face strong and unwavering. You have us. Remember who you are, this is your fight. As he focused on her words, fragments of past moments surged back, his childhood bike rides with Eli, their conversations about dreams and future adventures, Lucy's laughter echoing in the warmth of summer evenings. Those memories ignited something fierce within him. The shadows rippled, angry at the light. The low growl of despair vibrated in Job's bones. You don't deserve the love they give you, the figure taunted, its form shifting in an attempt to break his resolve. You will fail them again. No. I will not. Job's spirit ignited. I choose to fight. With that declaration, he clashed against the storm, arms outstretched, channeling all his love, memories, and experiences into a radiant shield. He could feel the truth burning like fire in his chest, a truth he hadn't fully embraced until now. Darkness swirled around him, as if wanting to snuff out the light, but Job pressed on. Each heartbeat rang like a bell, fueling the glow emanating from within. The malevolent figure writhed and twisted, its smile faltering for the first time. But then, a sudden gust knocked him back, and he stumbled, doubt weaving itself back into his mind. What if it's already too late? He thought, anxiety creeping back in. Images of despair clouded his vision, the faces of those he loved replaced by shadows of disappointment. Job. Clara's voice cut through the chaos like a knife. Focus. We need you. Rallying himself, he pulled from the depths of his being, channeling their fear into strength. I am not the sum of my failures. I will rise. The storm responded violently, winds howled like a beast and raged. But as Job gathered his resolve, a brilliant light exploded from him. It was a beacon, cutting through the thickest shadows, illuminating faces he feared he had lost. Stand with me. He shouted, and to his surprise, Clara and Eli seemed to materialize beside him, their own lights flickering to life. Together, they formed a triangle against the darkness, a united front that the storm couldn't fathom. The figure screamed, its twisted face contorting in rage. This is impossible. Job stepped forward, fueled by a newfound determination. No. This is our truth. With a sweeping motion, he cast his shimmering light outward, and the shadows shrank back, exposing cracks of brightness that began to widen. The storm was losing its power, caught off guard by their unified bravery, but just then, something deeper stirred within Job, an unsettling realization. What if this figure represents more than just my fears? What if it's a part of me? As the thought settled in his heart, he hesitated, the light dimming slightly. The figure laughed again, a dark resonance that chilled him. Embrace your truth, Job, or perish in the void. Chilling, Job grappled with his feelings, standing at the precipice of realization. Could he bring himself to confront the reality of who he truly was? And what terrifying truths lay ahead if he chose to embrace it? Job's heart thundered like a wild drum, each beat echoing the mounting chaos around him. The shadows taunted him, their whispered threats twisting into faint cries of those he loved. Clara and Eli stood strong beside him, their fierce lights battling against the engulfing darkness, yet doubt crept in like a shadow at dusk. "Do you really think this will change anything?" the figure sneered, its voice layered with venom. "Are you ready to face the truth, or will you cower in the familiar comfort of failure?" Job's breath came in ragged gasps. The storm pushed him back, reeling his mind. What is my truth? He wondered, crushed under the weight of it. Flickers of shame and mistakes danced in the corners of his consciousness. Job. Clara's voice burst forth, pulling him back. Don't let it in. The truth is not your failures. It's who you choose to be. He looked at Clara, the fierce light radiating from her, strong and unwavering. It reminded him of countless moments shared laughter, tears, sacrifices. It anchored him. Why was it so easy to give in to despair? With every ounce of will, Job steadied himself. I am not what I've done. I am so much more. His voice rang out, cutting through the cacophony, and for the first time, awareness shone like dawn in his heart. The figure's laughter faltered for a moment, uncertainty flickering in its shadows. Job imagined Clara and Eli's smiling faces, the warmth of their companionship pushing back the cold bitterness that had gripped him for so long. Together, he yelled, rallying the power of their combined light. Let us drive this darkness away. You are my truth, you are my strength. The storm howled in rage, but Job and his friends stood united, 3 hearts beating against the tempest. With an anguished scream, the dark figure lunged forward, vying to tear apart their bond. Job felt its cold grasp claw at the edges of his resolve. He could feel the fear, the anxiety, its slick fingers wrapping around him again. Embrace it, Job. The figure taunted. Only I can show you the real you. No. Job screamed back, as that familiar warmth ignited in his chest again. I refuse to give you power over me. I choose who I am. With every ounce of resolve, Job pushed forward, sending out waves of blinding light that begot their collective strength. The shadows recoiled, shrieking as the light expanded, bursting forth in radiant brilliance. The storm raged, but the trio stood firm, their hearts creating a fortress of purity, but just as victory seemed within reach, the malevolent figure began to twist, growing exponentially in size, warping the very air around them. You think you can buy your way out with love and memories? It screeched. You are weak, and I will find a way in. Job felt a chill in his spine. No, I can't let it consume me. Yet even as he thought that, the figure shifted, its form blurring into echoes of missed chances and painful memories, faces of people he had let down. Job. Eli's voice cut through, urgency ringing clear. Focus. Don't fall into its trap. Clarity surged back, and just like that, the fear slipped away, leaving only the fire of determination. You win. You don't understand what love is. The light flared intensely, igniting sparks that cascaded around them, illuminating the storm one last time. But as the shadows writhed, and the figure dissipated into a grotesque mist, it whispered a final, grim reminder, you can never escape what is inside you, the worst is yet to come. Job took a deep breath, shivers running down his spine. But was that figure right? Was the battle truly just beginning, and would the voice of despair always haunt him? As the storm roared against the fragile light around them, uncertainty loomed, casting a long shadow over their fleeting victory. What lay ahead as they pressed onward? Would they find the answers they sought, or would darker truths emerge, waiting to drag them back into despair's clutches? Job's heart raced, remnants of fear swirling within him like debris in a storm. Clara and Eli stood resolute beside him, their lights still flickering with hope, but the air felt heavy with the weight of lingering darkness. As the last of the figure's screams faded, it left behind a chilling echo that gnawed at Job's thoughts, a grim reminder of battles fought and possibly yet to come. What now? Clara asked, her brow knitted with concern, the tremor in her voice betraying her unwavering exterior. Job inhaled sharply, the scent of rain mixing with burnt earth filling his lungs. "We keep moving," he replied, his voice steadier than he felt. "The storm may have quieted, but I know it's not over." They stepped deeper into the unsettling silence, the path transformed into an eerie terrain dulled by shadows. The remnants of their previous confrontation loomed in the atmosphere like smoke. Each step felt weighty, and apprehension wrapped around them like a steel band. "It's not just the figure we're up against," Eli said, breaking the tension. "We have to face what it represents: every doubt, every regret. It's all still out there." Job nodded, every word piercing through the thick air. The truth felt like an anchor, yet it also threatened to drown him. "I know, but if we keep our lights shining, we can find a way through." The trio pressed on, walls of darkness seeming to close in around them. Just ahead, the ground split into two paths. One was shrouded in a dense fog, the other bathed in a soft, inviting glow. The contrast shocked Job, both paths enticing yet imposing. "Which way?" Clara asked, glancing at both options like a conflicted traveler at a crossroads. Job felt an instinctive pull toward the glowing path. "We need light," he urged. The words rolled off his tongue, laced with certainty. They stepped forward, hope igniting beneath their feet. As they moved through the transformative space, the figure's unsettling voice echoed from the fog. "You think you can run from the past? It's woven into you. You're still shackled by your choices." A jolt of dread shot through Job as memories flooded back, decisions that had hurt him, moments filled with darkness that still clawed at him. He stumbled, feeling the weight of regret clawing in his throat. "No, I'm not going back." "Remember how far you've come," Clara reminded him fiercely. "Don't let it pull you under." The glow intensified as they pressed onward, pumping new strength into their hearts. But the fog swirled menacingly, manifesting deeper shadows and whispering doubts. Job clenched his fists. "We are more than our pasts. We will not be defined by our failures." Each step forward was a battle against the relentless pull of the fog, the darkness hissing with familiar loneliness. Suddenly, the soft glow flickered, and for a split second, Job saw shadows rising, figures cloaked in the very regrets that burdened him. Eli's startled gasp broke the moment. "Job, look!" The glowing path began to fracture, pieces of light falling away, revealing jagged edges of darkness creeping forth. Job's chest tightened, panic striking hard. How can a path of light crumble? Around them, glimpses of people he had let down appeared, faces of loved ones, friends, and other lost connections. They looked at him, their expressions haunted. "Job, make a choice," Clara urged, her fierce light dimming but still pushing against the encroaching despair. "Do you let the past consume you?" The figures stretched out their hands, desperation etched into their features. Job felt a wrenching in his heart. He stammered, the words fighting to break free. "I won't forget you." He closed his eyes and stretched out his hands, breaking through the veil of darkness with the fierce love he carried. In that moment, he felt warmth spiral around him, urging away the chill that threatened to steal his heart, but just as the bright light surged once more, a scream erupted from the shadows. "You've only just begun to scrape the surface. The true darkness lies ahead." As their surroundings trembled and dark shapes writhed in response, Job realized this was only a fraction of the battle. An unsuspecting weight settled in his gut. How much longer could they hold on? With dread and determination intertwined, Job urged his friends forward. What awaited them ahead might challenge everything they were fighting for, and in that selfsame murky fear, he pondered what other truths lay hidden in the shadows. The air shifted again, heavy with tension and uncertainty. Job felt the ground quake underfoot, a faint rumble echoed in the distance, as if the universe itself was responding to his turmoil. He looked to Clara and Eli, their lights still flickering against the dark, but even they felt the pulse of doubt wrap around their hearts. "Whatever comes next, we face it together," Job said, his voice firmer now, a rallying cry that woven through their fears. Clara nodded, squeezing his hand. "You're right. It's now or never." As they stepped toward the foreboding darkness, the atmosphere grew thick with an unearthly chill. The fog crept closer, the shadows swirling menacingly, whispering secrets only the lost could hear. Job clenched his jaw. We've made it this far, we're not backing down now. Suddenly, the ground split, revealing a gaping void. It looked like an abyss, a dark maw that beckoned them in. A deep voice resonated from the depths, taunting them. You have barely scratched the surface, Job. Know that true sacrifice is not just something you give, it's what you let go. What are you talking about? Job shouted, fear lacing his voice. I want to sacrifice my love for them. Then brace yourself, the voice echoed as darkness erupted from the void. Job felt the cold grip of despair clawing at his insides, dragging him down. But then Clara stepped forward, her light shining even brighter against the impending onslaught. Job. Don't forget. We fight for what we believe in, for who we love. That is our strength. With those words, a flame ignited within him. I will not let you take my heart. Job roared, pushing back against the icy shadows. The screams of the shadows grew louder, but he refused to give in. But the darkness was relentless, surging forward like a tidal wave, crashing over them. Job's heart raced as the memories began to swirl, haunting him, each regret flashing before his eyes. The time he turned his back on a friend. The moments when doubt held him back. Faces flickered, each one a ghost of a decision that had left a mark. Focus. Eli yelled, urgency ringing in his tone. These are just illusions. They can't hurt you. The words snapped Job back. Yes, they were illusions. He turned to the memories, feeling an unexpected surge of warmth for those he had hurt. I acknowledge my past, but I want to let it define my future. He shouted, the words echoing through the void. In that moment of clarity, Job felt the shadows recoil. Clara and Eli stood strong beside him, their resolve shining brightly. Together, they focused their energies, forming a barrier against the onslaught. Push back. Clara cried. Job's heart swelled with renewed strength as he reflected on the love and support he had around him. He thought of Lucy's laughter, Eli's camaraderie, and Clara's steadfast belief in him. Each person represented a light that pushed back against the darkness threatening to swallow them whole. He held on to that love, channeling it into a blinding wave of energy that erupted from him, cascading towards the encroaching shadows. I choose to embrace the love I have and acknowledge my pain, but I want to be shackled by it. The darkness shrieked in agony as the beam of light sliced through it, illuminating their path once more. The shadows writhed like angry serpents, but Job, Clara, and Eli stood united, their light entwined in an unstoppable force. As the darkness began to break apart, revealing the path ahead, they stepped forward with renewed confidence. A spacious glow emerged, surrounded by remnants of their struggles, but now they carried a sense of unity. Together, they faced down their fears, faced down the deepest shadows. Keep going. Clara cheered, her eyes bright with a mixture of pride and relief. Job nodded, feeling a sense of purpose swelling within him. We will move forward, we are stronger than our past. But then, a final voice from the depths cried out, you may have momentarily forced me back, but remember, the shadows will always linger. The darkness is never truly gone. But Job only smiled. Maybe, but I've learned that it's my light that matters most. It's our collective spirit that brings the dawn. With one last surge of courage, the trio stepped into the light, leaving the now fading shadows behind them. As they emerged, the storm grew calm, and the sun peeked over the horizon, bathing them in golden warmth. Job took a deep breath, feeling the weight lift off his shoulders. Together, they had faced the darkness, and now they could embrace the promise of a new day. Turning to his friends, Job felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Thank you for believing in me. Eli clapped him on the shoulder, we believed in each other. That's what got us through. Clara smiled, her eyes shining. Let us carry this light forward, always. Job nodded, and with that, they stepped into the brightness, ready to embrace whatever the future held, armed with the knowledge that together, they could conquer anything. Now, if you love the ups and downs of this story, don't wait. You need to subscribe immediately to our channel. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm so we can continue sharing these epic tales. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this unbelievable conclusion. And please, don't forget to instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. This is the moment to show your support. Your engagement makes all the difference, so act now.